welcome back, everybody, our OCW audience. Today we're discussing. This is after the midterm at Hanyang University, and we're discussing. We're moving on from Osborne and Gabler to civil society and multicultural society. So today we start with a lecture on social capital. Okay, you did the readings, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I need a volunteer to come up. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Who didn't speak yet? Who wants to practice their English? Okay, Shota? No, okay. We volunteered you. Mr. No? Okay. Alright. Mr. Can you come up? Alright. Okay, maybe I just ask myself questions. Okay, come on up. Okay, now you did the 2 readings, right?
2 readings?
Okay. No, you're supposed to do 2 readings. One was Putnam, and the other one was Fukuyama.
Yes.
Okay? And Putnam and Fukuyama have 2 kind of distinct definitions of social capital. Okay? So whenever you write an essay and you link it to social capital, whenever you have a big concept, you need to what? You need to, because I always ask you to make links, right?
Yeah.
So when you link, for the midterm, you have to link it to Osborne and Gabler, and tell me what is a key concept from Osborne and Gabler. For example, like steering or competitive government, and you have to define it. Tell me how they define it. Okay? So today we're talking about social capital, right? And Putnam and Fukuyama, they both talk about social capital, but they define it in different ways.
Yes.
Okay? How does Putnam define social capital? Is it a broad definition or a narrow definition? He defines it kind of very generally or very specifically?
It is kind of general definition.
Right, it's a kind of a general, broad definition. Social capital means what?
It's like network, trust, and norms.
Right.
Such things that have. What is that?
That help people work together.
Work together, interaction.
Right, okay. So, and the reason why we call it social capital is because it's related to other forms of capital, okay? So what's another form of capital? You have, in order to make society rich, you need things like, what kind of capital do you need?
It's called capital, like money, cash.
That's called financial capital,
Yeah, right.
okay? Physical capital is things that you can buy with money. Like what?
Products.
Like your Samsung phone.
Yes.
Or factory, okay? Or your computer, okay? That's physical capital. And, you need your computer, your Samsung phone in order to get things done, right? But not only do you need computers, physical capital, but you also need what? You need people who, because you need people who can use the phones, use the computers, okay? And what does human capital mean?
It's like you are able to make some product.
Right, you can use the physical capital.
Yes.
You have the skills and knowledge to use things like what?
Right. Yes. Phone.
Yeah,
computer.
right. And how can you use that to make money?
We can build them and sell it to other people.
Okay. Or if you have a Samsung phone already, maybe you can do that to like call people and make a business deal, right? Or call people to say, I can teach you, I don't know,
Yes.
English.
Use facilities.
Right. Yeah, you can use English, right? So there are many things you can do. I remember once I did a Skype lecture at Busan-대학교, okay? And then I also did a Skype just Skype phone call, video call, with one of my colleagues in Albany, New York. Okay, so we were able to save money and also write a paper together. If the paper gets published, it makes Hanyang University look good. Okay, so we're using both our human capital and the physical capital. Do you understand? But the third form of social capital means that we trust each other. Okay? That means that that lady, that nice girl in Albany, New York, who's my co-author, I have to trust that she's what?
Not plundering.
Yeah, well, that she's not gonna steal my idea.
Yes.
And she did a lot of research for me. I have to make sure I trust that she actually did the research instead of just making things up, blah blah blah. Okay?
Right.
So you need like trust and so you need like things like trust, norms, cooperation. Okay? So he has a very general definition. But Fukuyama has a much more specific definition. He defines social capital as a norm. What does a norm mean?
Something you need to stick on.
Right, a norm is it's like a general rule. Okay, like a general rule that a general rule how people should interact and relate to each other. Okay? And then Fukuyama says you can have very simple rules to very complex rules. Okay? Sit down. Okay. Everybody has to stand up today. Well, today or next week, okay? I need volunteer number 2. What's your name? Come up, Mr. Lee. Then call me. Remember we talked about the phone? Okay, come on up. I'll give you very simple questions. Everybody has to read. If you didn't get my email, look at the syllabus, okay? Because the syllabus also has the links. And if you still cannot find even your syllabus, then call me. Day or night, okay? Make me happy. Now, Fukuyama talks about certain rules, right? What's a very simple rule? The simplest rule is called reciprocity, okay? That means what? What do you do?
Me?
Yes, I slapped you. You need to what? Do you want me to slap you again?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Right. Usually if you hit somebody, what happens?
Somebody's gonna hit you back.
Right, they hit you back. That's called reciprocity. I hit you.
Okay.
Right, you hit me back. Okay? Or if I help you, you're a nice boy. You what?
And then
Right, if I help you, then you
something reward me.
Yeah, you reward me, you help me. You understand? In America, we have this saying, I scratch your back. Right, you scratch my back. That's why I need a volunteer. If I scratch my own back, it's persona. Okay? So you need a partner. That is the simplest rule, reciprocity. You do what the other person does. Okay? But there's also more complex rules, and this one comes from Christianity. Are you Christian?
Oh no.
Okay. All right, just imagine you're Jesus.
Yeah.
I slap you, what do? You
And hit.
No, that's not Jesus. What would Jesus do? Right, he turns the other cheek. Okay? Because Jesus says, do not get revenge, but make your enemy your friend.
Yeah.
You need to forgive your enemy. Be friends with your enemy. And the classic example is what's that guy's name? The Good Samaritan.
No.
Right, the Good Samaritan. Because Samaritans and Jews, they were like, in the old days, they were enemies. It's like Koreans versus Joseonjo. Okay.
It's not like
Or-
North Korea.
Or North Korea, South Korea, or Korea, Japan. Okay, they're supposed to hate each other. Okay, but the Good Samaritan, when he saw this Jew who was beat up, okay, nobody helped him, but the Good Samaritan helped him. Okay, he helped somebody from the enemy. Okay, and Jesus said, "This is truly your neighbor, the one who helps you." And so Jesus told his disciples, go out and be what? Be everybody's neighbor. You understand? Be the Good Samaritan. Do you see? So don't hit me back. turn the other cheek. Okay? And so think about what kind of rules that you have. Okay? When I hit you, when somebody hits you, what do you do? Do you turn the other cheek or do you hit back? Oh, really? Woo! He's Jesus. Or he's lying. Okay? One of the two. I remember, like, this was actually a true story. I was, like, playing golf on the golf range. Okay, you know, like the practice range, right? And then this tall white guy, he came up to me and he hit me. I'm like, so at first I thought I should maybe hit him back. But that's not my rule. My rule is I want to understand. Why did you hit me? So I asked him, like, why did you hit me? And he said, you punk, you stole my, what do you call that? Golf clubs. Okay? And so I said, no, this is mine. Oh, and he said, oh, I'm sorry. Because he made a mistake. Do you see? But because I didn't hit him right, if I hit him right away, like, it might have been like a big riot, right? Like, Asian guy versus white guy. Okay? But because I asked him why, and I found the answer, then it gave him an opportunity to apologize. Do you understand? And so, rules are very important. Yeah. There was another, because if I hit him, he hit me back, it might have caused a riot. This actually happened like in 1981. There was this big fight at a bar, and this 5 Asian guys, 2 white guys, they beat up the white guy. The white guy wanted revenge. He got a baseball bat, and then he hit the Asian guy, and the Asian guy died. Okay? So it caused like a nationwide protest. His name was Vincent Chen. You can look it up. Okay? Yeah, Vincent Chen. Vincent. Okay, Chin. Okay? So at first the Asian people thought this was just prejudice, white racism. But later, like this year, like there were some interviews, and the white guy said, I didn't hit him because he was Asian. I was just drunk. And, I just wanted revenge. So it was more of a personal thing. It wasn't like a race thing. Okay? Alright, now, moving on. Now, so number one is, Fukuyama says number one, social norms. He conceptualizes social norms in terms of rules. Okay? And number two, he says, in order for the rules to actually make social capital, they need to be practiced. So you cannot just have a rule in your head. It needs to be practiced. Okay? And so a good example is that, like Christians believe what? We should treat, who should, if you're like an American, okay? You think that, who should go to school? Boys or girls? Well, hopefully both, right?
Yeah.
Right. The idea is that, you want boys and girls to go to school. You want them both to have opportunity, right? But in the old days, 100 years ago, what?
Boys.
Why? Why only boys?
Because boys are better than girls.
Right. Boys are good. Girls suck. There's no girls here, so we can make fun of them. Anyway, so girls are not supposed to go to school, right? And then later we're going to read about the comfort women, and there's actually like these old women, they tell their stories and about how like I wanted to go to school, but either my father or my older brother said no. Okay, they would tear all my books away. They thought it was shameful. Okay, so she ended up running away from home. Okay, you still have that in some countries like Afghanistan or Nigeria. Did you hear about what happened in Nigeria? There's this like religious group, Boko Haram. They believe that girls should not get Western education. So they basically kidnapped 200 girls. They were going to school. Do you see? So they have the same mentality as Koreans about 100 years ago. Okay. Anyway, but American missionaries came, Songgyo, right? And they said that, well, I don't believe in that. I think everybody should go to school. Everybody should be equal. But that's an idea in my head. How can I, that's a rule, right? That's a norm. How can I get people to practice this norm? How can I get Koreans to treat everybody equally? Do I just tell them? No, you need to, what? You need to, how? Right, you need to create schools and hospitals and companies and banks where anybody can enter, boys or girls. Do you understand? So, in order for a norm to actually become practice, social capital, then it needs to be practiced by forming institutions. So American missionaries came, they created the first women's school, which was what? Come on. Where there's a lot of 이쁜 여자 there. Yes, 이와. Okay. But they're, 한양 ladies are even more beautiful, right? We're being recorded. Say yes. Yes. Okay. Now, one more thing for you. But what is a Confucian norm? Do we treat everybody equally? 유교. Right. Not everybody is not equal, right? Because we believe in things like what? Everybody is either is everybody your equal? Do you just say yeah to anybody you see? No. You need to what? Some people you can say yeah, right? But some people you can just use yeah, okay? But other people you have to use what? 존댓말.
I got 존댓말 in English.
Oh, in English. You can say the Korean. You have to use the honorific term. Honorific. You understand? Right. It's called honorific. 존댓말. Okay? So you cannot call everybody yeah. Sometimes you have to use yo. Okay? 안녕하세요. You cannot just say yeah. Okay? You have to, So you have to know if you have to know everybody's social status. Yeah. Are they above you or are they below you? Are they your 선배 or your 후배? In Japanese, what, sanpai and 후배, right? Kohai. Kohai. Okay. How about in Chinese? You have what? Oh, okay. But what's the Chinese word for 선배?学长学姐. Oh, so there's boys and girls. Oh, so there's a boy 선배 and girl 선배. Oh, they have to memorize more words. Wow. Okay. Now, Koreans believe in 선배 후배, right? Using the yo. Okay. But how can I get Americans to do 선배 후배? How?
Brother.
No, but how can you get Americans to bow to you and use 선배 후배 and use honorific terms?
They don't say hello.
Right, because usually Americans just say, hey, what's up, bro? Okay? But how can you teach them to say, don't say like, what's up? Say like, hello, master. How are you doing, master? Yes, master. 어떡해?
In America.
Yes. You need to create what? So American missionaries, they came to Korea, they created a school, right? And Koreans, they go to America and they create what? They create another school. Taekwondo school. You understand? Taekwondojang. Okay? By creating a taekwondojang, I actually learned when I was in Chicago, South Side, we did tangsudo. Okay? Anyone heard of tangsudo? Yeah, this is before taekwondo. You had tangsudo, right? Yeah, right. And then and then it was like 200 kids, 80% black, and but they all try to speak in Korean, okay? And you always have to use honorific. You never say like, hey Joe, what's up? You say Mr. Fitzgerald or Master Fitzgerald, okay? You always call him Master. It's almost like Star Wars, okay? Or Kung Fu Panda, yes. And so nobody uses the first name. It's always like Master or Mr. or Miss, okay? Because you have to use an honorific term. You understand? So by creating a taekwondojang or tangsu-dojang in Chicago, in the South Side, you're teaching black people, white people how to be Confucian. So social norm, you have to treat people as 선배 후배, and it needs to be practiced. Then you're creating a new type of social capital. Okay? But it's kind of different because in America, like it's 선배 후배, but you can be 선배 후배 any race. So your master can be black or white. Okay? So it's kind of like a revised Confucianism. You understand? Okay. You can sit down. Do the reading next time. Alright. Okay, now the second part is why do we need social capital? Okay? And then because countries like Korea, Japan, China a little bit, we're free market democracies. Okay? We believe in free markets. Okay? But in order to have a free market, what do you need? You need people to trust each other, to be honest. Okay? If there is no trust, then the government has to do everything. Okay? But if people trust each other, then they don't need government. They can work together, sign contracts. You understand? But that depends on certain social norms, certain rules like what? What is one rule that you need in order to have a free market system? Okay, Mr. Che, come on up. No, Cherin. No, Cherin first. Come on. In a free market, you buy things from me, right? But before let's say this is like this is a glass of milk. Okay? Before you buy it from me, you need to believe what? You need to believe that, I say, hey, Cherin, drink my, buy my milk. It's so tasty.
I need to believe it's really tasty and it's 장하지
Yeah, it's really milk.
Yeah.
You understand? So the rule that you need is that people have to be honest. That if you say this is, healthy milk, it needs to be healthy milk, right? And if that rule is broken, then the market system breaks down. What's an example where it broke down? Yeah, just remember this happened in China. Was it real milk?
In China, we can buy a lot of zaktung in the free market, in the street market.
Okay.
It's not a really brand, maybe Nike or Adidas. It's not a really maker. It just
kind of fake.
It just make in a small factory. But if you look that, it's really like the real.
It looks real, right? So it's like real. Counterfeit, but it's still a good product.
Product, what is?
It's still a good quality, high quality.
Something is high quality, something not high quality.
Okay, that's fine. But I think as long as the consumer knows, as long as you know that it's counterfeit, then it's okay. Okay, but the big scandal happened when when the people said like this is real milk for children, and it wasn't real milk.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, in China have a big accident.
Yeah, big
accident. Sanyuan milk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about they put a lot of nakun.
Right. They put instead of real milk, they just put chemicals.
Yeah, a lot of chemicals. Yeah, some is milk and some is chemical, but the chemical is a lot of the
Right. And
So
so,
a lot of the babies heard of the of competition.
right, so the babies, what happened to the babies?
Dead.
Yeah, they're dead.
A lot of dead babies died.
Yeah, so a lot of the babies died. I think I don't know how many, 20 or 30?
I don't remember. It's a lot of too many.
Yeah, it was some years ago, but a lot of babies died.
So now a lot of the they buy the milk from overseas countries. They
Right.
go to the Hong Kong or go to the maybe Korea or something. See New Zealand, Australia. They come to their country to buy the.
Yeah, they buy the milk. Well, they buy the milk powder. You see? So you have all these Chinese moms. They go to Australia, and what do? They get all this baby milk powder.
And the milk in the supermarket will be subsidized by the Chinese moms.
Yeah, it's like, where did all the milk go? Because all the Chinese moms bought it.
So Hong Kong, the mom in Hong Kong, they always complain to the Chinese
I
government
see.
by
Right.
don't let moms go to Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, don't let the moms come to Hong Kong. They're gonna buy all our milk.
So the Hong Kong and China, they have a Haiwan.
Okay.
They will target very carefully to.
Oh, so they can limit,
If
right?
you cannot bring the milk.
Right, from Hong Kong, right? Do you see? So so that's what happens when you violate that rule. Free market system breaks down. Okay. 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 And the other thing is also democracy, right? Again, democracy. People have to trust each other. If you don't trust each other, then you depend on government. Do Chinese people trust each other or no?
We don't trust the government, but we trust each other.
Oh, you do? Oh, then maybe you can have democracy in the future. I hope so. Good luck. Okay, sit down. Okay? All right, now, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so go ahead and read the lecture notes. I don't want to repeat everything, right? I just want to have class discussion. So I want to discuss the most interesting things from the lecture. That's why I email it to you. You need to check my email, okay? One thing that I thought was very interesting was that, where does social capital come from? Okay? There's a bottom-up theory and a top-down. Okay? Who's next? Why don't you come up here? All right. What's your name?
My name is Yun Hwan.
Okay, Mr. Yu. So think about we're caveman, right? Or in the 옛날에. Okay? So there's no rules, okay? But we can create rules from the beginning because, and the simplest rule is what?
Prison.
Yeah, prisoner's dilemma, or actually before prisoner's dilemma, it's just called reciprocity, right? So I hit you. Hit me! Right, you're not Jesus yet, right? So if I hit you, you hit me back. If I cheat you, you cheat me. But if I'm honest to you and I help you, then you what? Right, you help me back, okay? And so that's how social capital starts, reciprocity. And so if I'm a businessman, I want to be nice to other people. I want to develop a reputation of being honest. Do you understand? So that's how you can build social capital. And there are many business models that's built on that. For example, in America, we have something called Airbnb. That's bed and breakfast. Okay? And in Airbnb, you basically, you rent people's homes or like a room, right? But then you need to, you want to make sure that you go somewhere where the person is honest. Okay? And the person who's hosting, they also want people to come who are honest themselves, who are nice, right? And so one way to do that is that every time you visit somebody's home, you rent somebody's home, each person, the host and the visitor, they both write a review. Do you understand? And it goes on the internet, okay? And so I did once. She gave me a positive review. Woohoo! Okay, he's a nice guy. He's very independent. Okay, not too reachy head. Okay, and so do you understand? So that's why like reciprocity. I am a good person. I help you. Then other people like me. And by using the internet, we can develop this into like a business model. Okay. So it's self-regulated. So there is no one government agency telling you to live where. Okay. But by looking at people's reputations online, you decide where you want to live, where you want to visit. Okay. So bottom-up way. But then there's also a top-down way, which is where maybe government can help introduce new norms, new types of social capital. Okay? And the example that I gave earlier was like remember I told you about the taekwondo place, right? The Tangsudo? The place I learned Tangsudo in Chicago was in the Chicago Park District. This is like a government agency. Okay? And teachers teach in the Park District because they offer free rooms for classes. Because, if I'm a businessman in a big city like Seoul, getting a building is what, cheap or expensive? Is it cheap or expensive, your apartment? Yeah, it's expensive, right? You have to pay like, maybe like $1,000 a month. Okay? And so if I have to pay $1,000 a month, it's hard for me to start a taekwondo class, and I cannot offer any free classes, right? But by having classes at the Chicago Park District, the government can actually subsidize new types of social norms, new types of social capital. Do you see? And so the government can decide what kinds of social norms do I want in my city. Okay? What is good? Okay? And many cities in America, they like taekwondo. Some also like yoga, but they really love taekwondo. Okay? Why is taekwondo or karate so good for for cities? Because why? It's the what? Okay, so parents are busy and it teaches kids like maybe self-discipline. Okay, which is really good, but it also teaches kids to work with people from different races. Do you understand? Because everybody is, you're not a white person or a black person. You're white belt or black belt. Okay, and so everybody starts out as a white belt, and then if you work hard, you can go up and become black belt. You understand? Yeah. So in a way, this kind of Confucian hierarchy, it teaches you. It kind of teaches you equality. You understand? And so the idea is that you can have 선배s and 후배s of any race. And so that is the social norm that many American cities would love to teach to their children. Do you understand? Okay, thank you. Okay, now, the final thing I wanted to do was, okay, let me turn on the projector now. I wanted to make links, okay? So these are some key concepts from class. Why isn't it working? Okay. Mr. Che, how can I get the projector to work? 내가 잠깐 껐는데. What do I have to press? This is projector on, right? 저 그냥 기다려. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Well, let me just read it on my own. Okay. All right. Just wait. One interesting news link in terms of social capital would be like the Seoul disaster, right? Okay. Because there's been a lot of like interesting conspiracy theories. Okay. And like there was this one parent, she uploaded a video, okay, and she was saying things like, the government told the people that everybody was saved, and because of this report, all the divers and rescuers, they at first they went to the pier, and then they said, oh, everybody's rescued, so they all just went back. Okay, so that's a big rumor. Is that rumor true? Did the government tell the divers not to go in because everybody's safe now? Right, it's a rumor. It's actually a false rumor. Okay, but there's a lot of there's a lot of crazy rumors out there about the Sewol disaster. Okay, we talked about Joseonjok last time, right? That there's all these rumors about Joseonjok and take away your kidney and like a big hot-in sale. Okay, we should ask Cherin when he comes back. Okay. But more recently there's all these rumors that you hear about the Sewol disaster. Okay, so I want each of you to tell me one rumor that you heard and if it was true or false. Okay, Jota, have you heard anything? Any rumor? What did you hear about the disaster? Did you hear any like like the big boat that sank? Yeah, Sewol. Okay. And so my question is, for those who go on the internet, did you hear any like interesting rumors? Did you hear any rumors? Okay. Come on up. Okay. I get Mr. Lee and Mr. Che. Why don't you both come up? Go this way. Wrong way. Okay. Yes. We were talking about Joseonjok. Where were you? Oh well, too bad. Do it during break time, okay? Tell me about some interesting rumors that you heard about
Sewol?
Yes, about Sewol. Because we're going to talk about some interesting rumors, and then you're going to tell me what does this mean for social capital in Korea. Okay. So first, tell me about some interesting rumors that you heard.
First, everyone would know this Miss Hong.
Okay.
Hong Gae. And she said that she heard the voice of students.
She heard the voice of students?
Not the ghost.
Okay.
Voice, but she dived into the sea and she heard from the boat.
Oh, okay. So they're trying to like get out?
Yeah.
Help me, help me.
Yes, and
okay.
she said she heard that their voice, the survivors. And the thing is that she didn't die at all. And later she said, I heard this from other divers.
Oh, from other divers.
Not and this rumor kind of eliminated the trust between the government and broadcasting system news and etc.
Okay. Yes. Anyway, stay. Mr. Lee, tell me about one rumor that you heard. Oh, where did you hear this rumor from? Was it from TV?
Yes.
Okay, TV. Okay, tell me any rumor that you heard, true or false, about the disaster.
It's just relate with
Yeah, pseudo religion.
Oh, pseudo religion. Okay. Guampa. Okay.
Like Guampa.
Okay. So, what did you hear? That this was like a religious ceremony? That everybody go down on the water?
It is the religion has a corporation, and the corporation has this cafe, this 정해진 해요.
Okay.
And they have many PD.
Okay. What's PD?
Corrupt. They
What?
are corrupt.
Oh, they're corrupt. Okay.
So it's like 예견된 상황이다.
So this this phenomenon, this tragedy is inevitable.
Yeah. Was it deliberate? Was it intentional or unintentional?
의도된 사고. 예견된 사고. We
Intentional.
don't know if it's intentional or not, but
Okay.
it was like inevitable.
Okay. So it was an inevitable outcome of this kind of like this company, which was owned by this kind of a crazy church.
Yes.
Okay. So again, so there's these rumors. Maybe some are true, some false, or maybe just half true. Because it is true that that the owner was from this church, and also one of the maritime officers used to belong to his church, right? But then later he said, I quit the church. I'm not a member anymore, right? But because of all these rumors, he had to kind of resign. He had to switch to another position because people thought that people had this belief that anybody who used to belong to this church would that they're kind of crazy, or they're still following the pastor. Do you see? So think about what do all these stories tell us about how people relate to each other in Korea? What is a rule? What is a norm? Maybe like when something bad happens, when something tragic happens, then what? Whose fault is it?
The government.
Okay. Maybe it's either the government's fault or it's either so whenever something bad happens, it's the fault of somebody evil, or like an evildoer. Okay? So I've been hearing a lot of debates like who's the evil guy, right? So one evil guy might be what?
The captain.
Yeah, obviously the captain, right? So people think he's an evil guy. That
pastor is evil.
The pastor is evil.
The police is evil.
The police is evil.
and at the high peaks, the president is evil.
The president is evil, right? So I think Hangul Shimun, one of the writers, said Park Geun-hye should resign, right? And then and also a lot of the newspaper people say like a captain should just go to jail, okay, as a murderer, okay.
Right.
And even Park Geun-hye said that the captain is a murderer, right?
It's like a murder.
Right. But that's the norm. That that's a rule that something bad happens, it's the evil guy's fault. But there's also liberal democracy, we have a different rule, which is that before you call somebody a murderer, you need to what? Yeah, you need some evidence, proof. And you cannot just discuss that in the media, you need to discuss it in a courtroom. You need to assess the evidence, right? And actually, if you read I think like Korean newspapers, I see a lot of bias. It seems like they're all anti-captain. But if you read like the New York Times, it's actually a bit more balanced. They said that one, it was not so much that he was evil, but one, he was kind of inexperienced, and two, he thought he was doing the right thing. He first told the people stay until the rescue boats come, and then as soon as he saw the rescue boats, he told the crew to announce, you can, jump out, okay? And there's actually evidence that he made that order, but that order was never implemented. You understand?
Yes.
So nobody carried out his order to make the new announcement. Either somebody in the chain of command forgot, or there was maybe like a machine breakdown. But it's like in any big organization, it's like the most important link is your weakest link. Do you see? So even if everybody's strong, if there's a weak link, then the whole thing collapses. So you're as strong as your weakest link. You heard about that, right? Right. And so for me, I think we should be investigating what was the weak links. Okay? Was there like a breakdown in the chain of command? Did the machine not work? Okay, was there just too many cars? Okay, and so it seems like we should be investigating the many causes, as opposed to like, but in Korea, like the president said, the captain's a murderer, and the government, the police, they arrested all the crew members who survived. So it's basically like, oh, if you didn't die, then you have to go to jail. Maybe I should just stay in the boat and die. So it's like if you stayed in the boat and die, if you happen to die, then you're like a hero.
But if you survive, then
you're evil. Yeah, you're a traitor. And so that doesn't seem really fair. How can everybody be evil, right?
So that's the reason why I think the government and the president is evil.
Okay. The president's the evil one. I don't know. But anyway, so the social, I think in Korea it's like if bad things happen, it's somebody's fault. It's an evil person's fault. Okay? But then another rule can be what? When bad things happen, what?
The system is corrupt.
Either the system is corrupt or just, we have this American saying, shit happens. Did you hear about that? The S word happens. What does that mean?
It could happen anytime.
Right. So it's not like anybody's fault, but sometimes bad things happen to good people. That's actually a very Christian concept. Job. Okay? You know Job, right? Right. Job is this really great guy, but in the Bible, but all these bad things happened to him. In a way, because God was testing him. Okay? So ever since Job, people understand that just because you're a good person, it doesn't mean that bad things won't happen to you. Okay? And so especially I think in Korea, if there's a kid and the kid becomes if a kid does bad things, then people always blame, who? Parents. Yeah, they think, oh, 나빠. Okay?
That's the reason why parents hit.
Yes. Don't embarrass me, okay? But oftentimes, even if the parents are good, sometimes the kid might turn out bad. Did you say?
Yeah.
You know cases like that, right?
Yes.
Right. And so, sometimes just, as the S word happens, okay? Or bad things happen to good people, good things happen to bad people. And so the rule here is do not jump to conclusions. Investigate. 조사해. Do you understand? I think if Koreans did that, then we would be a much better society. You can think of many examples, right? 세월, or the U.S. beef. Did you hear about that? The beef. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, no. It's mad. It's mad. the mad cow.
Yeah.
Right. They thought the beef was mad. If you eat it, you'll go crazy. But did any American hamburger make any Korean person mad? No! There was a rumor. It was false. Do you understand? Not a single American beef caused any Korean person to go crazy. Okay? But people believed in that, right? Do you remember? This was back in 2008.
Yes.
So
not 8 minutes. Right.
Okay. And so a lot of ajumma, they just stopped buying American beef. Because they actually believed in the rumor. Right. I don't know. So that's something to think about. Okay. So think about what are the, if you want to use Fukuyama, you can think about, what are the rules that we have in Korea, and do they produce trust or kind of distrust? Okay? That's one outcome. The other outcome we're interested in is, does it create broad trust or narrow trust? Okay? So 세월, broad trust or very narrow trust?
Broad distrust.
Broad distrust and only very narrow trust, right? So you only trust who in 세월? You only trust maybe
our neighbor.
Yeah, or maybe just other parents who lost their children. Everybody else is lying. Okay, everybody else is bad. The only people the police is bad, company is bad, Pakune is bad. Okay, maybe the only people I trust is other parents and my dog. Okay, I still trust my dog.
It sounds like
Okay. Okay. Americans love dogs. Okay. But you need to make so certain rules. Everybody's evil means that your radius of trust is very narrow. You know what a radius is, right? You learn math. Okay. So in some societies, a radius of trust is very broad. You trust people. You help different kinds of people. In other cases, a radius of trust is very small. Everybody else is bad except me and other victims. So I can only trust other victims. Do you understand? Right. Okay. Let me see now. Now, let's discuss one more rule in Korea, and then I want to compare it to Korea and Japan. Another rule that I noticed is that, like, who are you friends with? Okay? And then I noticed that a lot of Koreans, like, Mr. Lee.
Yeah.
I first asked Mr. Lee and then Mr. Chet. Who are your friends? How many close friends do you have? More than 10 or less than 10? Close friends, you give them money. Okay, less than 10. That's fine. Are they, how old are they? Do you have any close friends who are 5 or 50?
Same age.
Okay, Ron, how old are you? 21. So all your close friends are how old? Between what age?
20 or 22.
Oh, really? So it's only a 2-year age range, right? Okay. And now, are you rich?
No.
Are you poor?
No.
You're what?
Middle.
Okay. Are your friends rich or poor? Or kind of middle?
They are usually middle.
Okay, middle. And do they all go to college?
Yeah.
Okay. That's one thing I noticed is like that in Korea, your friendship patterns is strongly determined by what school you go to. You heard about that, right? And then, did you hear about this joke? Tell me if you have the same joke in Korea. In America, we have this joke that we have SAT, right? Okay. So parents tell their children, if you study, every 10-point increase in SAT means your wife will be that much prettier.
Oh, we have same one.
Oh yeah? How do you say that in Korean? Say that in Korean.
지금
공부하면 마늘 얼굴이 바뀐다.
Say that in English. If you study,
if you study now, then it will,
your wife's face will change.
Face will change.
Right. So if you're studying hard, wife becomes prettier and prettier, and then when you go to like what do you call that, PC bomb? Your wife becomes uglier and uglier. So they should have so parents should post a poster at the PC bomb. Your wife would be ugly. Don't come here. Right. Do you believe that's true? Not true. Okay. I think his wife will be ugly. He's not gonna study.
No.
Okay.
Not me.
Alright. You're gonna study anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of Koreans believe that. They think if I need to study, I need to get into good school. That means that if they have friends that don't study, that don't go to good school, are they still friends? Maybe not so much, okay? Because I hear this a lot when people go to 군대, okay? So people go to 군대, and then at 군대 you make friends, many different kinds of people, right? A lot of people that don't go to good college, right? But then after 군대, do you still keep in touch? Oh, you do? You're a good boy. Do you keep in touch with your 군대 friends?
Exactly. I don't go that yet.
Oh, okay. Who went to 군대? Okay, come on up. All right. What's your name?
Yunhan.
Yinhan. What kind of people did you meet at Kunde? Many different kinds?
Yeah.
Like what? So some are people like, some are like Putnam students, but others might be like what?
Would be like
Okay, so they just went to junior college, or
did not go university.
okay, they didn't go to university at all. Okay, and then also, did you meet any single fathers or fathers?
Their parents are divorced.
Oh, their parents are divorced. Okay. One of my students, he said when I went to Kunde, one of my friends already had a baby. Did any of your friends already have baby?
My friends?
Yeah, at Kunde. Do you understand?
Not really.
Okay. Okay, maybe not you. Did you guys meet anybody? Did you have any friends who already had a baby? Oh, okay. Because there might be like 20, 21, 22. So, they met a girl in high school, and then, they made a baby. Do you see? Right. But at Hanyang, do you have any friends who had babies? No, it's very rare. Okay? But outside of Hanyang, there's like more and more. And especially in America, you see a lot of kids who are like 20 or 21 and they have a baby. Okay? And usually, like, they kind of have separate life. The ones with baby, they just stay home. The ones without baby, they go to college. They have a different life. You see? Now, the ones who went to like 전문대학교 or 노대학교 after Kunde, are you still friends or not friends?
They are still in military.
Oh, they're still in Kunde.
And I still can contact them.
Okay, do you contact them?
Yeah.
Once a month, once a week? How often? Once a year?
I finished my military service in February.
Okay.
So the last meet we got February.
The last time you met them was in February? So you haven't met them since? 그동안 아무도 안 만났어?
Yeah, I'm busy today. So
Oh, okay.
I meet them in June.
Oh, maybe during the summer? Okay, because right now you're very busy with school, so you only meet your school friends. Okay? But maybe when school's over, you can meet your Kunde friends. Are you tight with your Kunde friends?
Yeah,
Yeah?
because
What?
Korea military system is free.
What does Huim mean?
Lower ranks.
Low ranks? So everybody's low?
If you go to the army,
Mm-hmm.
you have higher ranks.
And low ranks? Okay. And so everybody's kind of connected?
Relationship of two people is very strong.
Very strong. Okay. So what's the rule in the army? What's the social norm? That you're like brothers or something? Okay. Do you understand? So think about what is a rule in the army. So the rule might be that we depend on each other. We are like brothers, soul brothers, right? And sometimes, okay? And the question might be, is it strong enough to connect them even after the army? Do you understand? Because if it's very strong, then you can connect people even from different even with high education and no education. Do you see? Okay. So maybe that could be like a essay topic. Do you see? Like your experience in the army. What was the rule? Okay? And that rule leads to what kind of social capital? You understand? Okay. And tell me how is it broad social capital or is it very narrow? Did you make friends with many different kinds of people or only few kinds of people? Did you say? Did you meet many different kinds from Korea? Did you meet the entire Korean society? Well, at least young men. Yeah? Okay. So that might be very important, right? So we have the same system in Israel. In Israel, men and women are drafted. Okay? And because the army connects people, the army is more important than colleges. Do you see? So you have to join army to become part of Israeli society. It's even more important than going to a college. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Shota, Kota, come on up. Tell me about social capital in Japan. Okay. And then let's talk about that more on. You're telling me about China next week. Okay. I think everyone's tired. What's it like in Japan? How do people relate to each other? What is the rule?
Like it's kind of based on the community. So kind of which company you belong. So kind of which school you belong.
Okay.
Like that, yeah.
So companies and schools very important.
Yeah, I think so. As community. Yeah.
Oh, so do you have that saying? If you study, your wife would be pretty.
I'm not really sure, but it could be same in Japan too, I guess.
Okay, that means if people go to like a low school, it's hard to be friends.
It's not really hard to be a friend because like in my high school, for example, in my high school baseball teams, then like some of my friends who used to play baseball with me went to the kind of really low-level universities.
Okay, but you're still friends.
But we are still really good friends because we have shared kind of really kind of memorable days in the high school. So.
Right, so sports, some kind of shared experience. I remember when I was in the water polo team, we had like one can of Coke. We all shared it, because we're all like 15 of us, so we shared chin, spit. Okay, what's your experience like? Yeah, the friendships in Japan. Right, is friendship in Japan similar to Korea or kind of different from Korea?
I think.
Oh, it's similar? Explain. How is it similar? Do you use like 존댓말 or like girls all go to the bathroom together, or how is it similar? Just give me one example.
We use 존댓말 for A's.
Oh, okay, so 존댓말 for A. Okay, that sounds good. So anyway, when you write your essays, give me some real life examples, okay? All right. I think the rule is after 1 hour, I need to go to sleep. So we'll be done. All right. Right. Okay. Thank you very much.